Hi folks, Old Man Grognard here. And I just wanted to relax a bit because I don't really have any emails or anything like that to share with you. I'll accept my thoughts. Now, I have a few of them. I've been inspired lately by my friend Ivan Mike 1968. He does a really good series of role-playing videos on YouTube. Part role-play philosophy, part technique, and all cool. So it's a shout-out, Ivan and Mike, for one. He also got me into the Facebook group RPG Brigade. And I like his stuff because it's food for thought. Unfortunately, I have a bad memory for my thoughts. But I watched one this evening called Zero to Hero. And he was talking about another video person who did not care for what he calls Zero to Hero type games, which is mainly like earlier editions of D&D, and it could be later editions too, but where the characters start out very, very low and they become heroes. And his contention was, we're adults, we don't have that kind of time. But Ivan Mike is firmly in the camp of, yeah, I like to do that, Zero to Hero. And I'm with him. It's kind of fun. It's the character, not where he starts for me. Now, I know in the past I've always said, when I roll up a character, I need 3 sessions before I even understand my character, where he's coming from. Sometimes it comes earlier. Now, I'm going to tell you about one of my 5e games, the Monday game. Now, I've had my, brickbats and bouquets about 5e. And one of the things I said I don't really care for is all the background stuff it kind of forces on you when you create a character. And I realize that's optional, and I realize why it's there. Because newbies and people who haven't played before, other things like that, they need a little help, which is fine. Which means I can ignore it and just keep doing what I'm doing. Well, son of a gun, it helped me once. One time. More than one time, actually. So the 5e game, we're playing Curse of Strahd. And I was a latecomer. I got in there a couple, sessions into it. And for some reason or another, I decided I wanted to play a barbarian. Never played a barbarian before. Okay, I'll play a barbarian. So, roll up the stats, do whatever I need to do. And the DM, Carlos, he gave me a printout of a sheet, or rather a page of one of the modules that had kind of a motivation type charts on it, a la the player's handbook, who's your friend, why you venture, what's your motivation, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it was only a couple of charts. It wasn't like in the player's handbook. And I said, well, that's interesting. And they were geared towards that module, Curse of Strahd, Barovia, Ravenloft, whatever you want to call it. And I looked at it and I go, oh, these are interesting. Just for farts, let's roll them up. And I rolled up in the first chart. And I got this thing about my family has a ghost that haunts it for some reason or another from generations, and now it's attached itself to me. Nobody else sees or hears it. They don't know it's there except me. Good. I like that hook. That lasted about a session and a half. Got a little bored with it. No problem. So I roll in the second chart. And it's basically, what's your motto? What's your motto in life and stuff? So I rolled it and I go, I don't run from fear. Fear runs from me. Bing! Okay, I know how to play this guy. More or less. He's still gelling a bit, I played him maybe, this will be my 3rd time coming up. And all of a sudden, I play him, and of course, I play a little bit to the stereotype because he's a little dim and somewhat bombastic, but not on the level of, say, Conan or Thundar. Bombastic. And I'm tempted to put, where it says, fear runs from me, I'm tempted to add laughing afterwards. I still got to work out like where he comes from and all that, but that'll come. So we were playing along, and for some reason in one of the dungeons, they ran into, I don't know if it was a skeleton or zombie or just some place in a dungeon, a dining hall or something, where somebody was dressed in formals, and they had a top hat, and my character decided he wanted to wear that top hat, and he did. He didn't have a helmet, so he's got a top hat. The barbarian, oh, got a piece of ice. Barbarian with the nice hat. Well, the next session ran into an armorer where we're in town getting stuff. And I jokingly said, maybe he wants to armor his hat. And the DM goes, okay, yeah, 50 gold. And I said, sure. So the armorer armored my hat. I have an armored top hat with a leather band to keep it on my head during combat and things. Later on, we're getting attacked by a pack of werewolves, and I casually said, yeah, I'm going to throw my silver top hat at him. And the DM goes, oh, it's silvered. Oh, okay. And it's like, all right, I like this. So he had attacks like he'd start melee by walking up to a werewolf and go, how you doing? Bang. D4 plus strength. So now I've got a barbarian with a really nice armored top hat. And it's just fun. Now it's fun to play. All of a sudden, it's gotten more fun to play. Like I said, the guy's kind of dim. And it's just, it's just a prop top hat. And the way he is, he doesn't think twice about there being danger or anything. He just does it, that kind of. He's not a Leroy Jenkins, because he will listen to reason and stuff, unless he's raging, of course. But, we pick and choose our times for him to rage. We do. Supposed to. But it's gotten a lot more fun. Another thing it had me thinking about was min-maxing. I mean, I don't think this had much to do with his video, but min-maxing, I didn't really know about min-maxing when I first started until about 84. I started playing around 80, 81. Champions came out in 84. I didn't really get into it until about 2nd edition or 3rd edition. And 2nd or 3rd edition had I think 2nd edition was a book. The 3rd edition was a box set with a book in it. But I remember they had Champions 2 and Champions 3 out also, which was kind of companion books. And I think it was Champions 2 that had an article in there called The Goodman School of Cost Effectiveness. That was an eye-opener to me. Because while I don't really care for min-maxing, it has served me well in the past for certain things. Champions, I know I harp on that a lot, and I really don't play it much anymore, but it really shaped how I deal with role-playing games. For instance, I'll give you a little backstory on Champion stats, for those of you who don't know. They have a set of primary stats and secondary stats, which are called derived stats, which are based on the primary stats. The primary stats all start at 10. Now, this is a point-buy game. You start out with 100, and then you make up for it in disadvantages. But the stats all start at 10. And you buy them up to whatever, strength, dex, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And they all cost a varying amount of points depending on what the stat is. 1 for 1, 2 for 1, whatever. So the derived stats, there's a formula for each primary stat. You use that formula to find out what the base cost of the base of the derived stat you have. Then you buy it up from there. Okay. This article showed me things like where the cost breaks are on things. Like dexterity affects your speed, or constitution affects your, or is it constitution? But anyway, if there are things that affect, like you have stun and stun and body. That's your hit points right there. Things like constitution, some kind of con roll affects your stun points and your body points. Stun is the amount of points you have before you get knocked out. Not end points, but body points are how much you got before you're killed. And he did stuff like, okay, 13 is the break point on this. Just to give you an example. 13 is the break point here because you get these many more points of stun for this much. So you don't have to go all the way to, say, 15. You can go to 13 and save some of your points, which is good because for people who are like mathematically challenged, like I am, but who can still do basic math, I can do add, subtract, multiply, and divide. It was a revelation. And it talks about powers and skills and how you can do cost breaks on those too, and the importance of levels, power levels, skill levels, things like that, as opposed to D&D levels. Different thing. And also, Champions taught me another thing about what makes a character. And I apply this to all the other games. A rounded character has 3 things as far as like combat goes, action, the important stuff. Offense, defense, movement. That is very important. Offense, of course, your weapons. Ranged, melee, whatever. Superpowers, whatever, anything. Defense, also superpowers, but in this case, we're talking like armor class. You're talking D&D, you're talking armor class, whatever armor you make, any kind of spells you wear that protects you, things like that, or any kind of magical items that add to your defense. Movement, you gotta know how far you can move on the board, especially in combat time. You got to know how much you can move and still attack, or how much you can move at all just to get out of the way. So that's pretty important. So it's offense, defense, movement. And those 2 things have served me well over the years as far as role-playing games go. And so that's how I basically kind of, cut my teeth that way. And when I went back to D&D, it seemed a lot easier. I seemed to know what I was doing more, which I really liked. What else is going on? Oh, I'm getting ready to start a Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea campaign. And I just finished reviewing this one, the Field Guide to Encounters, and there's a lot of weird stuff that I can fit in from there because it's basically a Howard Carter-ish, Conan-ish world. And so you've got the regular fantasy. It's interesting because you get the regular fantasy monsters and stuff like that mixed with the otherworldly Lovecraftian from the stars, or just plain weird from the abyss type creatures that people don't think twice about killing. I always thought that the Elder Gods were interesting in the fact that if you read, I know the Cthulhu mythos was kind of shared after a while because Lovecraft started it. Other people elaborated on it because they were all friends and things like that. But it's interesting finding how Lovecraft treats the mythos as opposed to Robert E. Howard, how he treats the mythos. Because they're like night and day. They're like a 180 of each other. Lovecraft is like, oh, mankind is doomed. All we can do is hope to stay ignorant. And if we really found out who was running the show in the universe, we'd all go insane or die, and they'd come back and kill us. And Robert E. Howard's basically say he hears all that and says, "Look, come back and kill us? Bring it. Go ahead. You know, my characters will kill it. It's just another monster. It's a big old monster to them, and they'll just, you know, go after it." Anyway. So that's me. I've been doing these videos as kind of a style. I did that one for Oops. I'm probably going to do another one. I kind of skipped because I made that number 6. And so I'm going to have to go back and do a number 5 now, which is probably going to be All the World's Monsters. Kind of intimidating because it's 3 volumes and they're really big. But I will get through them. And I'm doing stuff like, I was doing stuff like that one. They're kind of an easy read too. I do that like I was just trying to St. Lena to basically keep the home fires burning and keep it going here, because I'm going through still going through the small niche game stuff, and I've come to Domve, and that is a bit of a considering I'm a slow reader, it's a bit of a hurdle, but I'm trying to read as fast as I can. But in the meantime, I still want to turn out videos so you guys have something to watch. Anyway, that's my thing. And Peter, keep churning it out. I'm not saying you should stop. I'm not saying you shouldn't, you know, but keep churning the stuff out. I really like it. It's really good stuff. And if you guys got anything to talk about, anything at all about what I talked about here or previous shows or what have you, drop me a line, oldmangrognard@gmail.com, because this is the place where I read them, among other things. So, I think it's about time to go. I've been plagued with insomnia for a while, and that's why I'm up drinking and doing this. So, until next time, bye-bye.